Video game addiction.
Video game addiction.
The video game addiction has been obvious.
All right, so let me lay out exactly what's going on with these video game addiction lawsuits. All right, recently I was approached by a couple of law firms who were involved in litigation against video game companies across the country. Specifically, they were talking about video game addiction. Now, the claims were simple. Video game companies designed, patented video games to be extremely addictive for young people. Now, you may be asking, how do we know this? Well, that's because the companies actually patented their methods on how to addict children. And because the games were designed to facilitate this type of addiction, there were negative psychological effects to young people. And some of the effects are dropping out of school, inpatient addiction treatment, and we've even seen suicide attempts. Now, as soon as I mention video game addiction, the first thing people talk about, the parents. What could the parents do? Well, this story was covered on Good Morning America with one of the law firms that I've partnered with. Here is what this mom did to try to help her teen avoid playing the video games.
An Arkansas mother and son accusing manufacturers of intentionally designing games to be as addictive as possible.
I spent a lot of nights crying, thinking that I was a bad parent because of it. Because if there's any other parent dealing with this, I want them to know they're not alone. At one point, I took away the modem altogether, and he went downstairs and screamed so loud, the neighbors called Child Protective Services because they thought I was abusing him.
Internet gaming disorder is listed as a condition by the American Psychiatric Association, and experts say the diagnosis would depend on the level of distress it causes.
Now, most of you may be familiar with the show Intervention. It's on A&E, and it deals with people who have substance abuse problems. Now, they've also been dealing with video game addiction because it's become a serious problem, even within adults. Here's a story of two twins whose lives essentially have been destroyed because of their addiction.
Gaming was actually one of my first loves. Digital worlds were just like so cool. I'm good in the digital world. I got lots of money. I got lots of friends. The world's mine for the taking. I'm coming. Oh. When I'm in video game mode, I completely lose my sense of time. I'd enter the kind of like flow state where you're in the zone. That's how I'd be able to play for 18 hours straight.
You want to play another?
Yeah, let's run another one.
All right, let's get it.
The problem is pretty severe.
All right, let's do it. I love video games just as much as the next guy does, but Dave and Dan play video games all freaking day long, so it's pretty intense. Dave's been my best friend since 9th grade. He would say, oh, we're gonna make music, we're gonna do acting, we're gonna take photos, but I guess the video game thing got in the way, and
Now, these are adults who are suffering from this, but these video games were designed to addict children in some instances. Now, think about this. You have a parent versus the video game company. They're scientists, psychologists, and designers who are designing these games to addict children to stay on the platform longer. And here are some of those patents. Now, the patent that you see on screen is a system built to make special in-game offers lose value the longer you wait. It promotes a sense of urgency, fear of missing out, and impulse buyings, all at the unconscious psychological level. This item changes the chances of getting a rare item in a loot box depending on how much you've already spent. Essentially, it plays off that beginner's luck thing, where when you go into the game, you win big with your first try. Hey, I've won big, but now you're always chasing that big win because the game specifically lowers the odds the more you spend. And there are many more of these patents that are designed by scientists and psychologists to addict you to the game. And that's the goal, to addict children to these products. Now, in the United States, we have laws that say if you design a product and that product can injure someone, either knowingly or unknowingly, then you have to warn them of that danger. The best way to understand this is with an example. Look at this commercial.
Herb quit smoking with Chantix and support. Talk to your doctor about Chantix and a support plan that's right for you. Some people have had changes in behavior, hostility, agitation, depressed mood, and suicidal thoughts or actions while taking or after stopping Chantix. If you notice agitation, hostility, depression, or changes in behavior, thinking, or mood that are not typical for you, or if you develop suicidal thoughts or actions, stop taking Chantix and call your doctor right away. Talk to your doctor about any history of depression or other mental health problems, which can get worse while taking Chantix. Some people can have allergic or serious skin reactions to Chantix, some of which can be life-threatening. If you notice swelling of face, mouth, throat, or a rash, stop taking Chantix and see your doctor right away. Tell your doctor which medicines you're taking, as they may work differently when you quit smoking. Chantix dosing may be different if you have kidney problems. The most common side effect is nausea. Patients also reported trouble sleeping and vivid, unusual, or strange dreams. Until you know how Chantix may affect you, use caution when driving or operating machinery. Chantix should not be taken with other quit smoking products.
The urges weren't like they used to be, and that helped me quit.
Talk to your doctor to find out if prescription Chantix is right for you.
Now, if you didn't get that, Chantix is actually designed to help people quit smoking. And when it comes to video games, they actually patented their games to be more addictive for younger people. And we're not talking about for adults, we're talking about for children. Now, with that, I want to introduce you to another lawyer who I'm working with in this video game addiction litigation. His name is Darren Miller, and he's going to explain to you what we're looking for in terms of clients.
Some of the symptoms and the things that we're looking for with regards to our clients in this particular litigation. And you need to ask yourself, are you seeing any of these types of things in your friends and your family that are involved in these video games? Right off the bat, anyone, of course, who's committed suicide or attempted suicide pursuant to these games. Anyone who's involved in inpatient addiction with regards to getting video game treatment. If your child has dropped out due to their video game addiction, have they dropped out of college because of playing too much while they're there? Are they now having to be homeschooled because of that situation? Well, these are all folks that we would absolutely love to be representing and helping as related to this litigation. So those are the top tier of damages that we believe are going to be paid out as related to this resolution. So then let's talk about the next tier of damages that are involved. You're looking at outpatient counseling. You're looking at individual educational plans. If you're having to hire private tutoring or the types of different orthopedic damages or injuries you're suffering because of repetitive play in gaming. So the last thing we're going to talk about now is just the tier 3 damages. And these are kind of the bottom tier. If you're looking in terms of tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, the largest bucket of cases where I think most people are going to be qualified in. So let's talk about what that's going to entail. You need to have played a minimum of 15 hours per week. You need to show that your grades dropped because of gaming. And then finally to exhibit 5 of 9 different symptoms suffered because of your addiction to video games. So these are the specific symptoms that we believe that you need to be looking for. And there's 9 of them that you need to be paying close attention to. The symptoms you need to be looking for include the following: gamer's rage, depression, anxiety, outpatient counseling, having a gaming addiction diagnosis, an individualized education program, having to acquire private tutoring, suffering specific orthopedic injuries, inpatient treatment for gaming addiction, suicide attempt, gaming disorder, unable to work because of gaming, being a high school dropout, a middle school dropout, or having a criminal record to pay for gaming or assault charges due to gaming rage. And finally, of course, seizures.
Now let's just keep it 100% real. Not everyone who plays video games is addicted, and we're talking about a small minority of people who actually are going to suffer these ill side effects. And just because you like video games or you play for a long time doesn't mean you're addicted to the game. Now, we're looking for people who are 25 years or younger whose families have suffered these ill side effects of video game addiction. And some families have suffered more and some families have suffered less. But we're going to hold the video game companies accountable because they failed to warn you of these particular negative side effects. Now, to see if you qualify, go to videogameclaimshelp.com. The link is in the description or in the pinned comment, or scan the QR code on the screen. And remember, we don't get paid unless we recover for you. So as always, let me know how you feel in the comment section. I do want you to tell me if you say, hey, Nate, this video game addiction thing is ridiculous. It's all the parents' fault. It's all this, it's all that. Because I've heard it all. But when you really sit down and think about it, these gaming companies, they have billions of dollars in research and development and have specifically engineered these games to make addicts out of children. And those have negative side effects. And the law says if you do that, you just have to warn the parents that you are doing that so they can protect their children. They didn't do that. And now we're going to hold them accountable. My name is Nate the Lawyer. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.